Romshinators, thank you so much for joining me once again here on Romshii Radio. I really appreciate you spending some time with me. Today we're talking about motivational content. What was it, what is it, and what does it remain to be? Yes, it has certainly taken a drastic transformation that someone like me is pretty shocked by, in a way. I mean, I'm not shocked that it happened, but if you had told me when I first started getting into motivational content and listening to motivational speakers that it would evolve into what it is today, it would have kind of blown my mind in a way. And I think there's a major difference that we're just going to cover right off the top, and that is a lot of older motivational stuff was meant to motivate you. And we're going to get into what I mean by older motivation, then we're going to go into what it's transformed into today. Older motivational stuff, as corrupt as it was, as weird as it was, in hindsight, was still meant to motivate. It was meant to sell tapes, it was meant to sell books, but those books, those tapes were supposed to motivate you and make you feel good. You might think that's crazy. You might be looking at me right now and thinking that's crazy, but that is the general feeling you get when you read a book like Think and Grow Rich, How to Win Friends and Influence People, listen to The Strangest Secret by Earl Nightingale. You know, if you go listen to all these things, you can poke holes in them. You can watch YouTube essays about why they're frauds and scams, but at the end of the day, what most of this stuff really outlines are fables that are for the most part beneficial. And I don't mean all of it is, and we're going to kind of get into this a little bit. Why not now? Let's just get into it now. I'm freestyling here. So, for instance, there is a story told by Earl Nightingale called Acres of Diamonds. I really like this story. And this is indicative of what was good about old motivational stuff is, yes, some things they would say would be horrifyingly wrong, but mixed in, there would be some really kind of wholesome stories that would stick with you. So Acres of Diamonds, I first heard of this listening to Earl Nightingale. It's the story that a man lives on a farm. He hears there's diamonds off in another country, out in the hills, out in the world. He leaves his farm, he sells it, he goes, travels the world, doesn't find any diamonds. He returns back to his farm and finds his whole backyard is filled with diamonds, and he already had acres of diamonds. And I think this is a great story for people to hear, especially young people, because a lot of young people, they want to destroy everything that they have and go out into the world and make something completely new. I mean, we see this a lot when, young people leave their hometowns. And I think it's good to leave your hometown. I actually want to do a video on that, but it's also important to realize that even if you can't leave your hometown and run off to New York or Los Angeles, that you still are potentially sitting in your own acres of diamonds. You have everything you need around you, all the resources, all the powers to make something from your life. And I think a story like that is beautiful and pure, and I think about it still to this day. Now, at the same time, Earl Nightingale would also say in one of his speeches, The Strangest Secret, which I still think is a good listen, and it really does remind you of how things used to be or used to seem in the Western world. I mean, it will blow your mind to listen to the stuff he says. And first off the bat, we're not even going to go with how it's aged poorly. We're going to go with what it was back then that was bad. And that's that he said, all of us are self-made, but only the successful will admit it. Now, that is an insane statement. That is a ridiculous statement. I just realized we didn't do the call of the Romshinator. I'm tangled up. Here we go. Yes, the call of the Romshinator is done. I apologize for the hardcore Romshinators out there. We usually do that in the beginning. But yes, Earl Nightingale said, we are all self-made, only the successful will admit it. That is an absurd statement. I mean, by any stretch of the imagination. And this is why motivational content is often aimed at or often accepted by very young people and very desperate people. Very young, that's who I was. Little bit desperate when I started getting into motivational stuff. You grow up in a small town, you have no resources, you have no good role models, your parents are fucking off. They're in the garage drinking. They're sitting there playing on their computer games. They don't give a shit about what you're doing. You got one store, one general store in your town. You're hitchhiking out of town to get into band practice. You've showed up to every business in all neighboring towns with a resume, but none of them will hire you because you have long hair and a beard. Nobody told you how to get a good haircut or how to trim your beard, and nobody told told you how to show up and how to write a resume. So you go to the job center, and then you go to a job center and you get a job, and then they rip you off for thousands of dollars, and then you have to file a complaint with the labor board, and then you show up in a Tim Hortons parking lot 2 years later, and they give you some money back with a handwritten contract that says you won't try to sue them, and you sign it, and then they call you back to try to get you to work for them again, and you're so desperate for work because you're in this shitty small town that you actually say yes, and then they cancel on you the day of. And when you're a type of person who is in that situation, motivational content can really hook into you because you go, no, I am not my circumstances. I can overcome. I am powerful. I can make this happen. I can do anything. And it gets its hooks into you. But if it's good motivational content, it will make you motivated. And this is where the main difference lies, in my opinion, is that throughout the years, from when Think and Grow Rich was released, from when Earl Nightingale's Strangest Secret came out, throughout the years till now, till 2026, many of us have seen all systems around us fail. Many of us have seen the most successful people among us be revealed to be horrifying ghouls. Many of us have seen the benefactors of nepotism skyrocket past us in our professional lives. Many of us have been locked out of our dreams. We have been crushed. We have been destroyed. We have been made to believe we live in an upside-down kingdom where those who are bad are at the top and those who are good are made to suffer. And this is in direct contrast with what is taught by the old motivational content, which seriously says, like even Earl Nightingale says in a speech somewhere, he says, you'll find as you go up the ladder in a company, people get nicer and nicer and more hardworking. And you're like, come on, buddy, come on. But this might have actually been true or believable back then, at least. But now people have lived their lives and capitalism has transformed the world into something almost unrecognizable from what they were probably experiencing, for what at least they thought. I mean, I don't know. I can only imagine that they weren't being completely disingenuous. And now you have motivational content transforming into basically the manosphere. You know, basically a bunch of dudes dressed up in suits that are way too tight with their bulging muscles popping out, in open relationships, driving around in Maseratis, trying to convince you that this is what you need to be happy. And this transformation, to me, is clearly a way of hooking people in who are disenfranchised with the system, for good reason. In a world where everybody has seen all systems around them fail and have completely lost trust in the system, what this new motivational content is doing is kind of teaching people how to, make slop content, do online scams, sell courses to people more desperate than you, and make money that way. And generally, if you're getting into this sort of world, you're not going to be making money, you're going to be spending money. Unless you're the guy in the rented Maserati, you're the sucker, you're the mark. So, this is the motivation transformation that I have seen take over the nation, Romshinators, and it's strange to see because making someone feel motivated is good. I mean, you can go and do a talk, do a seminar, read a book. I remember I even went and saw Eric Thomas, the hip-hop preacher, once. I mean, I didn't really see him. I waited outside the seminar and I dapped him up. And then I went in and I got a book signed for some reason. I don't know. I was a big fan of Eric Thomas, the hip-hop preacher. Part of it, I just thought he was funny because he was always yelling. I just thought he was a funny guy, and he would get me motivated. And I would watch his videos and I would feel motivated to get out there and make something happen. And I guess my fear is the young guys who are watching this new mutated motivational content, they might be getting a little bit of motivation, but mainly what they're getting is the feeling that they're not good enough. That they're poor, that they're weak, that they're stupid, that they're not a real man, that women won't like them. That's a big one. All they're doing is posturing themselves so that insecure people will buy into the illusion and send them money. I mean, they're not even really motivating them. They're just making people feel insecure. That's all it is. And I think that's the main difference. And that's what it's transformed into. It's transformed into, you know, a little bit slimy, you know, like in the old motivational content, it would be like Henry Ford and the Ford Motor Company was built from the hard work and determination of Henry Ford. Nothing else. Nothing else to see here. Dale Carnegie. And I'm just like David Rockefeller had a dream. He would build a great empire. And then meanwhile, you look it up and they had to, you know, literally invent anti-monopoly laws to stop David Rockefeller from conquering the earth, you know. But old motivational content would be like, you can be the next David Rockefeller if you put your mind to it. You know, it's like, you can't really. You know what I mean? It's just selling someone on the dream that they could be the next David Rockefeller. That's what they did. And now it's more about selling someone on the dream that they can scam the system to the point where they're going to escape the system so that they can buy frivolous toys within the system and go to clubs and buy bottles for $500 a bottle to impress a bunch of women and friends that are just want them for their money. And that they're going to go home at night and feel so good. They're going to look out the Airbnb and they're going to see the view of some exotic city that they're in, and everyone's going to be jealous, and they're going to show them. And they're looking at these pictures of these guys, and they're all muscular, and they're surrounded by women. They're going like, if you ain't living like me, what is it? What is it if you ain't living like me? Buy the course. Click the link down below. It's absurd. And I think that for the most part, the older motivational stuff, if you suspend disbelief and you kind of just take the little motivational fables and take what is true, you'll be kind of in good shape. I mean, you will be. And I think with the newer motivational stuff, there's almost nothing you can take from it, to be honest. It's just, it's so wrapped in poison. It's like a candy apple, you know, and you're trying to get to the apple inside. And the old motivational stuff is like a regular candy apple. There's a layer of poison on the outside, and inside is the good apple. The new motivational stuff is like it's like a crab apple inside. You know those tiny little apples that horses eat that taste like, have you ever eaten one? They're sour, they're covered in poop. You probably get sick of eating one. They're falling off. It's like a crab apple with like a giant layer of poison around it. And by the time you get to the crab apple, you've ingested so much poison that you're already in the hospital saying your last words with your family surrounding you. You know, I always think there's two types of success. I just hold up two types of success. Two types of success. You know, there's healthy success, and then there's junk food success. So there's like, you know, raw apple cider vinegar success, and then there's Snickers candy bar success. And what the healthy success is you get a little bit better every day. That's what healthy success is. And that's what I do like what Earl Nightingale said back in the day. He said, success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal, which I think is a fantastic definition for success. And it doesn't bar anybody out of it. And that was so great about some of that motivational content from back in the day. It was more wholesome. It could meet you where you were at and lift you up a little bit. You know, for what it's worth, it could. The progressive realization of a worthy ideal. I'm doing it. Are you doing it? Can you do it? Could you start doing it right now? Yes. And you can be on your way. The progressive realization of a worthy ideal. That is still stuck with me to the point that I can recite it. I didn't prepare for this video. I can recite that. I heard it for the first time when I was about 18. And I can recite it. I'm old now. I'm an older man. And that's healthy success. Progressively realizing a worthy ideal. The unhealthy success, and you might disagree with me, the unhealthy success, which we still need. I'm talking, you need a balanced diet, you need a bit of both, but the unhealthy success is something like, you know, having a video go viral, and you get a huge dopamine hit, and everybody thinks you're so cool. Unhealthy success would be, you know, people coming up to you on the street asking for your autograph, or, you know, anything that kind of makes your ego explode with joy in the same way that a chocolatey treat does. You know, it just excites the tongue, it fries the brain, fills the body with chemicals, fills the ego with passion and belief that you are better and that you've made it. You need a little bit of that to give you these little boosts, you know. I like that just as much as the next person. I like it. But it's a peak, and then it comes back down. It's fleeting. It's a spike. It's a dopamine spike, which goes whoop. And healthy success is a gradual incline up. You feel what I mean? You feel what I mean by the two types of success? And I feel like that's what the new motivational content is doing. It's doing the unhealthy type of success. It's trying to treat you that you need to go to the club and pop bottles, pop Molly, surround yourself with all sorts of people who are just there because they want your money, and they boost your ego to make you feel good and say crazy stuff so that you get clicks, and dress really crazy and cool, and everybody's gonna love me so much. And the old style was more about building yourself up with foundational positive beliefs. Still, though, mostly bullshit in hindsight. In hindsight, I'm still saying it's still, but it has mutated further in the direction that is not good. Let's just say that. Please let me know down below what your favorite motivational quote is, and maybe we can trade motivational quotes. Your mind's like a parachute. It doesn't work if it's not open. Thank you, Romshinators. I really appreciate it. See you in the next one. Goodbye.